In lecture series on Introduction to Radar System, we are now going to discuss radar receiver protector. Receiver protectors are used in radar systems to protect the radar receiver from unwanted and potentially damaging high power signals, mainly the signal coming from the transmitter, because transmitter used to transmit huge amount of power and receivers are very sensitive receivers. So if some power get leaked into the receiver path, most of the time for monostatic radars, then there is a chance of damage of the receiver. So these are the unwanted and potentially damaging high power signals, leakage power from the transmitter. In any case, these signals are usually on the order of kilowatts to megawatts of peak power, which is too much for any receiver to survive. Now protectors are of two types. One is the passive protector, another is the active protector. So if we consider this transmitter power amplifier, final stage power amplifier, then this circulator is there. This is used as duplexer. So usually the antenna will receive power from the target, and small amount of echo power should be switched by this circulator towards the receiver path, but there may be a portion of the power that may leak from this transmitter to the receiver, and it is dependent on the amount of isolation provided by the circulator. Though the circulator isolation is very high, but since the input power, this transmitted power is very high, extremely high, of the order of few megawatt maybe peak power, so there is a chance that some power may leak through this path and they can enter into the receiver. So to protect this receiver from this high power, we must have some circuit that is called the limiter. So that high power, if it comes through this channel, this limiter, the duty of the limiter is to eliminate that power. That means the circuit will behave in such a way that at high power will be grounded, so that no power will go towards this low noise amplifier or the receiver. Now passive receiver protector is one which is self-activated and requires no external control to perform its protection function. An active receiver protector is one which does require a control signal to enable its protection function. An active receiver protector is basically a switch. Typically SPSTs or SPDTs are used to realize this type of design. Receiver protectors must function successfully in three completely different operating states. The first two are usually called low power and high power states. That is quite obvious. So if we consider this is the high input power pulse, and corresponding protector characteristics should be like this. So initially transmitter power was 0, or we have low power, so loss must be very small. Then suddenly when receiver power is having its peak, the loss will increase, and that particular it will continue with this high loss up to this point, and once the high transmitter power ends, the protector should come back to its original low loss state, but it takes some time. That is called the recovery time. So we have three distinct stages or three distinct uh, states it can stay. One is the low power and one is the high power, and third one is the recovery time. So in low power state, the receiver protector is effectively inactivated. In this state, the desire is that the component be well matched to the transmission line so that the returning echo signal can pass through to the receiver with as low as an insertion loss as possible. In the high power state, the device activates to protect the receiver from unwanted and potentially damaging high power signals. This region is the high power state. In the third state, the unit is in transition as it reverts back from the high power state to the low power state, and this third state is normally referred to as the recovery time. This one. The main reason for using an active receiver protector to achieve an all solid state design, faster recovery time in the case of an extremely low leakage requirement, maybe less than 10 dBm, and problems with active protector. If the control signal fails, the receiver protector will fail. This is an additional factor which will reduce the inherent reliability of this approach. Active receiver protectors can only protect against signals which are synchronized with the transmitter pulse. Thus, there will be no protection for non-synchronous external signals. So these are the problems associated with the active protector. Now let us consider some kind of receiver protectors. So first we will consider the TR tube, transreceive tube. So this is the picture of such tube, and this is the basic diagram of such tube. The construction of TR tube includes one or more resonant filter sections in a piece of waveguide, which is sealed at both ends with waveguide windows. These are the windows. Each filter section is relatively high Q parallel LC circuits. Truncated cones from the capacitive element and irises or posts the inductive element. The waveguide is then evacuated and backfilled with a gas or combination of gases at below atmospheric pressure. In the low power state, the TR tube is a bandpass filter whose characteristics are controlled by dimension and spacing of the filter elements and the windows. So these dimensions are adjusted so as to realize minimum VSWR and insertion loss over the band of interest. The presence of high power signal will cause an arc between the cone gaps. These are the cone gaps. This will ionize the gas in the region of the cones, thus causing most of the power to be reflected from the device. That means this one will behave like a short. So inside this chamber, if the gas is ionized, then this whole equipment or this whole component will behave like a solid metal as per electromagnetic wave is concerned. So the electromagnetic wave will be reflected from one of the wall instead of going through it. If the power is high enough, the input window will fire as well, providing additional protection. Silent feed characteristics of TR tube. It provides a great deal of protection at relatively low cost. For many applications, it is unique, unquestionably the best value. In addition to its performance within its fundamental operating frequency range, the TR tube also will provide a great deal of protection at out-of-band frequencies. It's a moderate power handling device. Power handling is primarily limited by the temperature rise on the glass input window due to the gas discharge. The tear tube has a relatively long recovery time. Recovery time is directly related to the input power and pulse width and inversely related to operating frequency. At the end of this slide, in the last slide, we will have some comparative studies of different type of receiver protectors, and we will see in that particular slide the change in or dependence of this recovery time on the frequency. And not only that, different type of receiver protectors will be studied in that particular table, so that we can guess or we can determine the performance characteristics from the recovery time. The tear tube has a limited operating life. Life is a function of gas volume as well as the parameters such as power and duty cycle. The tear tube has a very great dynamic operating power range. Its attenuation increases with increasing power. So once activated, its flat leakage power remains quite constant for increasing input power levels. Now consider another kind of receiver protector. It's called the ferrite limiter. So this cutaway view is like this. So here we have the ferrite. The ferrite limiter is an all solid state product. It employs ferrite material which is mounted along one or both waveguide walls. The ferrite is magnetically biased with permanent magnets. So magnets must be present above and below the waveguide section. The electrons in the ferrite will traces around the magnetic field lines. In the low power state, this device looks like a dielectrically loaded piece of waveguide. However, when an input power reaches a critical threshold, the RF energy will couple into the precision motion, causing the ferrite to absorb power as the RF passes down the waveguide. The absorbed energy is converted to heat. A ferrite limiter is a medium power handling device suitable for use in applications where the average power is relatively low. Now, main advantages of ferrite limiter: it has an unlimited life because there is nothing. There may be some corrosion, but otherwise there is a less chance of destruction of that particular device. Very fast recovery time. This is another advantage of this ferrite limiter. But there are certain disadvantages as well. It exhibits relatively high insertion loss, can handle only a moderate amount of power. Its performance is very sensitive to changes in ambient temperature. Leakage is too high for a receiver to sustain. Thus, a ferrite limiter may be employed as a pre-limiting device in a receiver protector assembly where very fast recovery time is required. It is normally followed by a diode limiter. So now consider diode limiter. There are certain advantages of this type of limiter. It is an all solid state product which has no operating life limit. It does not require priming of any kind. It may be passive or active, both are possible. It may be designed as a multifunction component so that the benefits of additional functionality may be realized with a minimum size and insertion loss. May be realized in any type of transmission line. So if this is the RF input, we have limiter diode here, and this is the RF leakage. This is the mount of this particular type of component. We have waveguide right here. We have some, these are the non-conducting short circuits, and diode is present somewhere here. The main factor which restricts a diode limiter's usefulness is its power handling capability. In the early days, these devices were capable of handling only a few tens of watts of peak power. However, over the years, great strides have been made. Today, diode limiters are being designed as standalone receiver protector into applications that once would have required the additional use of other pre-limiting technology. Diode limiter power handling is primarily a function of operating frequency, peak power, and pulse width. The onset of limiting will occur at relatively low power levels, typically 0 to something like 10 dBm. So the leakage power will be low enough to adequately protect a modern receiver. Additionally, the diode limiter may be actively controlled to achieve greater power handling or lower leakage. Now the disadvantages. If subjected to even a slightly high power level than their design rating, they may be degraded or destroyed. That's the problem of diode actually. Second, they generally do not provide much out of band protection. Therefore, in order to avoid problems when considering the use of a diode limiter as a standalone receiver protector, it is incumbent upon the user to very carefully profile all of the expected in-band and out-of-band energy that may be incident upon the limiter. So I was talking of this table. So here we have the frequency, increasing frequency, UHF, L band, S band, increasing frequency. Now we have different power levels, and corresponding insertion loss is there, isolation is there, and the recovery time. So if we consider balanced duplexer at L band, recovery time is almost 300 microseconds. But say if we consider for the TR tube in ultra high frequency, the recovery time is 150 microseconds, whereas in L band it is just 10 microseconds. For S band it is 5 microseconds, X band it is 1.5 microseconds. That means the recovery time is decreasing with increasing frequency. Not only that, this chart will show you the relative performance of different kind of receiver protectors. So we have TR tube, we have solid state receiver protector. So based on that, we can compare the insertion loss, we can compare the leakage or isolation, recovery time, etc. So based on that, we have to select a particular type of receiver protector, and obviously receiver protector is dependent on frequency as well as the input power, peak power, because different type of receiver protector has maximum limit of input power. So based on that, you have to select what should be the receiver protector. Like balanced duplexer, though its recovery time is very large, but at the same time it can handle almost 50 megawatt of power. So it's huge power it can handle. So in this way you have to decide which one will be suitable for your design. So enough for the day. Thank you very much.